you guys? We are in like the final week or so of October, and I'm trying to get as many spooky videos out as I can before I run out of time, and that led me to kind of needing to film a video today, but not knowing what to film and not knowing what to talk about. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna sit down and do my makeup, just play around with some stuff, hang out, and talk about scary movies that I think you guys should watch to get you in the spooky mood. We talked about scary books. I've been telling y'all some scary stories, and now we're gonna talk about some scary movies. So I hope you're excited about it, because I definitely am. Make sure you check the down bar for links to all my social media platforms. Come hang out with me on Patreon if you're feeling squirrely. And for those of you who are getting tired of the scary stuff, there's lots of new stuff coming, I promise. There's not much to say. I'm going to get right into it. Check the down bar for links on my social media platforms. And yeah, this is a chit chat get ready with me, which means I will have a naked face in a 3, 2, 1. All right, you guys. So I'm just going to jump right into this and tell you all about the scary movies that I think you should watch this spooky season, or all year. There are 2 movies in particular we're going to talk about today that I only watch during Halloween, but the rest of them all year. Just love them. So I'm just going to get started by telling you the movie that I think, even if you're not a particular fan of scary movies, that I think you would like, and that is Trick or Treat. Trick or Treat is a mafia cult classic. And fun fact, this movie had a really hard time getting off the ground and getting released, and it's one of those movies that is now really, really popular, and I even saw some Trick or Treat merch in Spirit the other day. But I saw this movie for the first time in 2011. Yeah, 2011. And I was like, where have I been? Like, how have I not heard about this? Trick or Treat is an anthology movie, so think Pulp Fiction, that basically takes place on All Hallows Eve in a town in Ohio, and it is just... it's so, like, it's just such this celebration of everything you love about Halloween. They even, like, have rules on how to survive Halloween night. And Sam, who is, like, probably the figure most closely associated with Trick or Treat, was intended, or kind of like a concept idea from the director, because he wanted him to be, like, the unofficial mascot of Halloween. And I think mission accomplished, my friend. I think you did it. So the reason that I say that this would be a good movie for people who don't even like scary movies, well, first of all, I don't really get scared by scary movies. I love them. They're my favorite type of movie to watch. But also, this one's kind of funny. So this one has like everything you want. There's, you know, attractive people, there's scares. It is a little gory. It's not like, you know, hostile or anything like that at all, but it's got some gore in it, and it's got some suggestive material, so depending on how old like your kids are, you may or may not want to watch this one with them. But it is so good, you guys. If you watch nothing else, I recommend, and you've never seen Trick or Treat, and you're looking for like, what am I gonna do on Halloween? You know what I mean? We're not going anywhere. Get yourself a bowl of popcorn, like make it on the stove, maybe put a little Parmesan cheese, a little bit of garlic salt on it. So good. Turn this movie on and you're gonna get your Halloween fix, I promise you. So the second movie I'm gonna tell you guys about is another horror comedy. I think we'll start that way. Other than that, this was in no particular order. And that is a movie called Housebound. The last time I watched this was on Netflix in 2019, 18. I really don't remember. It's been a while, but I've seen it a million times because I love it. It's just something that, you know, I forget about for whatever reason. I'm just gonna keep it 100. But it is one of the best scary movies I've ever seen in my life, because again, it's so funny. I think it takes place in New Zealand. I don't have a very good accent for that, but that almost makes it funny automatically, because Australian people and New Zealanders, I think they call themselves Kiwis, whatever. They just have such a flat, funny affect with the way that they talk in general. So it's automatically just a little bit funnier because of that. But it is genuinely well written, genuinely funny, genuinely scary at some times. The story ends well, like it ends on a light note. This, depending on how old your kids are, I would say if they're older, like 15, 16, and they like a scary movie, maybe. But other than that, probably not. It's not very gory at all. There's a little bit of it, but not too much. But the thing that I love about it, again, it's so funny. It'll creep you out. but you're not gonna end that movie like, can we sleep with the lights on? You'll just enjoy the ride, I promise. And that movie, if I didn't say, is called Housebound. Like I said, it was on Netflix a few years ago, but I haven't watched it this year, so I don't know where it is, but certainly you can find it on Amazon or like iTunes or something like that, if nothing else. So maybe I should have started this video by telling you what type of scary movies I like in particular. Probably would have been more beneficial. Maybe I should tell you what I don't like. I am not a fan of any type of scary movie, or anything for that matter, that like deeply disturbs me. When you just go to like the torture place, like that is not even remotely what I define as scary anyway. Like it might just kind of turn my stomach and I might like be thinking about it nonstop, but it's not a pleasant experience for me. And I feel like scary movies in particular are one of those areas in storytelling that we can tap into so many other things with. So like metaphors in particular, anytime you make a horror movie, or any media for that matter, that is satirizing or pointing a finger at another issue, but they're able to kind of like put it in your face through this lens of horror. I love when creators are able to do this. Like Jordan Peele has done that a lot. With, for example, like to give you a more current example of that, you know, Get Out and Us are actually talking about bigger social issues. And if you guys watch The Boys on Amazon, they're kind of doing that too. You can really see, particularly in the second season, which was, the show is so good. If you guys aren't watching The Boys, you need to. It's like one of the best shows ever made, I think. So far. Don't screw it up, season 3, please. But so I love those probably the most. There was recently a movie that came out that I saw called Ready or Not. That was basically kind of, you could tell that while we're telling this really awesome, scary story, we're also talking about classism and things of that nature and class wars. And I love that. So I love those. And I also, like I said, I don't like anything disturbing. Like, I don't feel like you're doing a good job if the only way you can get a reaction out of me is to disturb me, like scare me, make me think, creep me out tomorrow at 3 p.m. when I'm making my bagel bites. You know what I'm saying? Like, come in through the back door. Ooh, no. What I mean is, I like a smart horror movie. I don't like jump scares either. Now that you know where I am with all this, let's talk about the third movie, I guess. Okay, the next movie is also kind of funny. I actually think it's hilarious. When I saw the trailer for this movie, I think it was back in like 2015, 2016, I was like, so this was made for me. I don't know, I guess you guys can watch it too if you want, but it was definitely created for my eyes and my life and my world. Because it's basically like these two chicks who love horror, and they're also trying to be famous on social media, basically. And they're teenagers, and it's a little more nuanced than even what I just said, but there's a little twist to how they're trying to like come up in the social media sphere. There's just some people who go missing or they die, and what you know, our girls are behind it. That's not a spoiler, that's in the trailer, so I'm sorry if you feel that I've just spoiled it for you, but like I said, it's already known information. But yeah, it's just kind of watching hilarity ensue, and there's like a little twist, and it's about two best friends. And if you guys know anything about me, I love female friendship, female camaraderie. That is just my vibe. I love anything about that. You know, support your local girl gang and all that. It's such a good movie, and it's hilarious, especially if you're someone who, again, like me, is really into social media. It was on Hulu for the longest time. I don't know where it is now, if you want to stream it, but again, really good. Probably for teenagers and above. I wouldn't watch none of these movies, honestly, I would watch with your children. Maybe your older kids. Yeah. My kid loves scary movies. So anytime I'm watching a scary movie review or something like that, I'm usually like, can I watch it with my kid? So maybe that's why I am just like automatically telling you guys if you can or not. So I'm going to take a break from my actual list really quick to give you 3 honorable mentions. The Nightmare Before Christmas is my favorite movie of all time. It always has been. And every year, October 1st until New Year's Eve, we watch Nightmare Before Christmas like 100 times a day. We're singing along to every song. I'm wearing my Nightmare Before Christmas pajamas, drinking out of my Jack Skellington mug, my hot chocolate. Like, love it. It is my favorite. And I don't think there's people in the world who haven't seen that movie yet, but if you're one of them, like, you're messing up. It's just magical, okay? I love it so much. I talked about this in my book video, I believe, and it's not a show. I mean, it's not a movie, it's a show. And it's Scream Queens season 1, very particularly season 1, because I did not like I watched maybe one episode of season 2 and I just couldn't do it anymore. But season 1 is so good. It is so good. It's if you have to like Ryan Murphy and kind of his whole shtick, he does American Horror Story, and he also does the American, I think it's called like American Crime or American Murder Story. They did one about O.J. Simpson, and they also did one about Gianni Versace. Those are really good too. If you like true crime at all, you need to be watching those. Those are amazing. But anyway, you kind of have to like his whole shtick a lot. And you also have to kind of like girl culture, girly things, or laughing at girly things. And it's amazing. It's exactly, once again, for me. I love Emma Roberts. I just think she's so beautiful, and like, she was born to play a bit, but she's shockingly good at it. It's just hilarious. It's like Mean Girls and scary stuff, and it's multiple episodes, and there's a little bit of a mystery in it, and it's funny, and it's creepy. It's amazing. Another honorable mention, and I don't know how many of you guys like foreign horror movies. I love them personally. A lot of people just don't like subtitles. They don't like dubbing. They don't watch anything that's not America or whatever their native language is. I am very differently. I love watching movies and TV shows from other places. I enjoy it so much. But one of my favorite scary movies that came from Korea, I believe it's Korean. 90% sure it's Korean, is called A Tale of Two Sisters. There's actually an American remake of it. I'm not going to tell you what it is, just in case you've seen it or something like that to spoil it for you. But that is a good movie. It's a little bit more of a slow burn, a little bit more of a creepy kind of psychological thriller. But if that's what you're in the mood for, I also have one more Korean movie on this list as well. But if that's what you're in the mood for, watch this movie. It is so good. Let's talk about kind of like what got us into scary movies in the comments down below. I feel like everyone has a video. Damn, YouTube is not life, Whitney. Holy crap. I feel like everybody has a first kind of experience that either makes you a creepy, I call them creepy people. I'm a creepy girl, creeper girl. Or makes you very much not that, conversely. It just depends. Like my husband, for example, not that person. My kind of introduction to all of this, I think it actually started with books, to be honest, because I didn't have like an experience of watching scary movies at like a crazy inappropriate age, you know. I don't know, you might think it's an inappropriate age. The first like really scary movie I watched was Scream when I was 10. Like I snuck it and watched it, you know, behind my parents' back. I wasn't supposed to, I did it anyway, but it definitely inspired this obsession with horror movies after that point. I remember vividly dedicating entire summers to working on our movie. Me and my friends had like a horror movie we worked on in the neighborhood, and like we always went over to my friend Shower's house and we would work on our horror movie all the time. She had a little old school VHS camcorder, and we had a little script, and we had our roles, and we had our roles as creatives on the set. And I used to always write scary stories. Like I remember this one scary story I wrote when I was in 4th grade. I was young, but I just remember writing this scary story one time that was so needlessly gory and violent. I remember showing it to my granny. She was just kind of like, what? She was just really concerned. But yeah, so I remember it was like Scream, but then a lot of like slasher movies came out. That's why I told you guys in my book video to read Final Girls if you grew up around that time, because it's very nostalgic for that kind of like final girl slasher flick trope. Next on my list, speaking of Final Girls and tropes, is probably one of the funnest horror movies I think there is. But this is one of those that people either love it or they hate it. There is no in between. I loved it. So many of my friends were just like, I don't know why you're so excited to see this movie. We went and saw it in theaters and it was stupid. And I was just waiting for it to come out on DVD, because this was like before we were streaming so much, which is crazy. That wasn't even that long ago. Sunrise, sunset. So I remember watching it that first time, and not only did I like it, I just remember being like, this is amazing. amazing. I don't want to give anything away if you haven't seen it or you don't know anything about it. Got a bit of a zing to it. It's not exactly what it appears to be at face value. And it's funny. Again, there's so many funny parts in it. Plus Chris Hemsworth is in it. I love him. He's the only celebrity, honestly, that I just like get that way about. I'm not much of a celebrity crush person. I don't know. I don't really care about celebrities, but I get my taste. Anyway, it's hilarious. And it also kind of has a bit of meta commentary to it again. Once again, I love, give me a little like moral to the story at the end of it, and I'm in. This one, graphic, gory. Don't watch it with your kids. You're gonna love it or you're gonna hate it. But if you love it, the last 45 minutes of that movie will be your favorite 30 to 40. If you like horror the way I do, it'll be your favorite 35 to 45 minutes of your life. It's those who've seen it know exactly what I'm talking about. Anyway, let's talk about zombies. Do you guys remember when everything was zombies? I was personally offended by that movement at the time because I don't know. I guess I was being kind of a gatekeeper in my early 20s about things. I would be like, everybody likes lame stuff. Everything I like is amazing. Why do you guys like lame stuff? And then people would start to like the stuff that I liked, and I'd be like, no, this is my stuff. Just insufferable. I haven't really watched a whole lot of zombie things in the more recent years, simply because of what I just talked about. We had a big zombie moment. It followed the vampire moment. So I watched this movie last year called Train to Busan. Busan? I don't know if I'm saying that right, but it is on Netflix, or it was as recent as like a couple of weeks ago. It is, let me think about it, maybe one of top 3 best zombie anything I've ever seen in my life. It tells the story of this guy who is taking his daughter to Busan on a train to see her mother, and this all kind of takes place during the middle of a zombie apocalypse, and it's all taking place on the confines of a train, like a subway train or whatever. And it is a really scary concept to contend with. And then again, very similarly to a lot of the movies I like, there's a little touch of like social commentary in there, not to mention. But it's so thrilling, so scary. Like honestly, if I had to say what element of horror actually scares me the most, it would be zombies. I think it stems from this like recurring nightmare I have. I've had it for years. I'm talking like at least 14 years now. And it's not that the dream itself is recurring. It's just zombie dreams. I have them all the time, and they're scarier than anything else I dream about. So I guess what I'm saying is it's scary in the way that it needs to be, and I like that because zombies to me are truly like the scariest thing in the world. I don't know why, I can't explain it. But it's got a lot of heart. You're probably gonna cry. It's a tearjerker, and I honestly think most zombie things are. In fact, I was telling my best friend that like I tend to gravitate towards her because I don't like to like feel my feelings. I'm not like let me watch a tearjerker. I'm sensitive enough already. I don't need that. I told her that, and she was like, but wait, like ostensibly if you're watching a horror movie, something horrible is happening. So shouldn't it be kind of sad? And I always tell her like, no, in the context of this movie, because I know it's a scary movie, I don't get emotionally invested that way. Except with zombie stuff. The Walking Dead, right? If you guys used to watch that, you know what I mean. They get you in your feelings. So if you're not trying to go down that road, don't watch Train to Busan, because you're going to get up in your all the feelings. So many feelings. But if you are willing to take the ride, see what I did there? So good. Definitely recommend it. So the next video, why do I keep saying video? Well, you know what? I'm just going to try to play this off because the next movie is called VHS, which is a videotape. This is actually a series. I've only seen the first 2. Have I seen the third one? I might have. I don't know. I'd have to look. I've definitely seen the first 2, and I've definitely seen them many times. VHS is probably for someone who is more of an avid horror lover. This one's not like funny. It doesn't really have a commentary aspect to it. It's just here to scare you, and it definitely does. So the way these movies work is you're kind of watching a group of people who are watching random videotapes they have found for a certain reason. I don't want to spoil anything. I'm trying to be as vague as possible while trying to sell you on this stuff. It's so hard. You're watching these people who are watching videotapes, and what you're seeing is like every time they put a videotape in the VCR, it's like a new story you're watching. So it's kind of like just like an anthology again, where like, with Trick or Treat in the beginning, it's a bunch of different stories. I like that. In fact, most of the time, I feel like where a lot of movies, and why I don't watch a lot of movies anymore, mess up is because they are too long. Like, I almost feel like these people nowadays that are putting out movies are like, well, if we got them in the theater, we gonna keep them there as long as we can. I feel like it kind of ruins it, you know what I'm saying? Because you're like, okay, like, we get it, we're scared, but... And then sometimes they'll be too long for the sake of explaining everything you just saw. And sometimes it doesn't need to be explained. It's better just left as is. And that's what I like about the VHS movies. They're going to put this in front of you, they're going to get in and they're going to get out, and then we're going to watch another story, and then we're going to have another one, and they just keep coming. And they're good stories too. Like I said, a lot of people think the first VHS is the superior one. I just think the second one was pretty good as far as sequels go, but it's fun, it's scary, graphic, definitely not kid-friendly at all. This isn't one like I would let my daughter watch, for example, but so good. Definitely check it out. And I'm surprised time and again by how many people have not seen this or even heard of these, if you can imagine. So the next movie, and this is like, if you recall, I told you that there's 2 movies on this list that I tend to save specifically for Halloween. The first was Trick or Treat, and this is the second one. And this one is Ginger Snaps. Another movie that I'm always surprised at how many people who have not seen it. Now, Ginger Snaps is amazing for a few reasons. First of all, it's a werewolf movie, and we just don't see a whole lot of those. And we really don't see a whole lot of like great ones, and Ginger Snaps is a great one. This filmmaker basically is using the transformative process of the werewolf as a metaphor for what it's like to be a teenage girl going through puberty, and it is spot on when you think about it. It is something I appreciate the older I get. It is definitely something I appreciate the older my daughter gets. So the movie follows the story of 2 sisters. Again, love a sister story, love a best friend story, and these 2 sisters happen to be best friends, and their relationship is so awesome and like funny and cool. They're just like obsessed with like death and murder and weird stuff like that. And yeah, basically one of them is gonna turn into a werewolf. That's not a spoiler, like that's the whole premise of the movie, and it's just so good. It's a classic, and it takes place during Halloween, so that is why I save it for Halloween. And if you haven't watched Ginger Snaps, check it out. I know there are sequels. I've never seen them. I don't know if I feel like the need to, but if the right people wanted to remake this movie, I would get into it. The right stuff needs to be in place, but this would be a movie that I think people would really resonate with now. The last 2 I'm going to tell you guys about are a little bit more somber, a little bit darker. They're not like feel good, fun horror movies like I feel the rest of these are, with the exception of maybe Train to Busan. I wouldn't say that's a feel-gooder either. But these last 2 I think are going to be for a particular audience, because again, you're either going to love them or you're going to hate them. And the first one is The Witch. This is another one of those movies that I knew from the second I saw the trailer, not even the trailer, the poster for this movie. I was like, I'm gonna love it. I'm into it. I'm very interested as a whole in witches, the history of it, the witch as a symbol for like oppressive patriarchal values. I love everything about witches. You guys are my people. I love you. And this movie is telling the story of this puritanical family that is, recently settled in America, and it turns out that the colony that they live with has found the dad to be prideful, and he needs to GTFO. So they do, and then they're kind of isolated and in this strange land, in this strange wilderness, and they happen to encounter a witch, and you kind of watch the unraveling of this situation. There is nothing glamorous about the witch that they're presenting. It's like the true vision of what you know, people thought what they were back then. That's what they're expressing, but it still has this really interesting concept or aspect to it where I can't say it without giving anything away. I'm not going to spoil it. It's a great movie, and it's something you really have to like want to be in the mood for. They're literally speaking in old English or whatever. You guys, I'm sorry, I didn't take any notes for the terminology I'm trying to use right now, but yeah, they're talking in very old-fashioned way, and you're either gonna be into that or you're gonna hate it. It has one of my favorite lines in all of cinema. Wouldst thou like to live deliciously? Bought a sticker for my laptop that says that, because that, yes, I do. Like, that is my vibe in life. All days of my life, I just want to live deliciously. And if you want to live deliciously, watch this movie because it's awesome. If you are still here watching this video right now and you have not left a comment down below telling us what your favorite scary movies are, or the scary movies that you hate the most, or the ones that traumatize you and keep you up at night still all these years later, then like, what are you doing? We want to know. Leave it down below. So the last movie I'm going to leave you guys with is Crimson Peak. This is going to depend kind of on whether or not you like a couple of things. First of all, you need to like gothic horror, because that's what this is. And if you like that, you'll love this. It's a stunningly beautiful movie because it's done by Guillermo del Toro. And I love him. I feel like all of his stories have like this like fairy tale thing within them. Even if as horrible as there are, there's always these moments where you just kind of look at it and you're like, this is like a fairy tale, like a horrible fairy tale that like a Grimm brother would have wrote 1,000,000 years ago. If you guys have ever seen Mama, that's one of his too. There's so many moments like that in that movie as well. That's another good one. So Crimson Peak, you need to like gothic horror. Even better if you really like Guillermo del Toro. The story is creepy. There's a little bit of a mystery to it. The performances of the characters are amazing. Again, not so much a feel good as the rest of these are, because again, it's a gothic, it's a ghost story, but it still ends in such a way that you're not going to be like, turn all the lights on. It's not gonna traumatize you or anything, but it's so good. And if you're in the mood for a haunting story or a ghost story at all, this is for you. For lips, I'm going to do KKW Beauty, number 2. Mel Thompson and Christian Audette Beauty lipstick. Side note, I've had this thing for almost a year because I bought it right before my mom passed away and we're coming up on it. I've used it 400,000 times since then. Look how much of it I have left. Like, if this is not a testament to why you should not hoard lipsticks, I don't know what is. It's literally pretty much the only nude I've used all year. And for lip gloss, I'm going to do Dolly by Buxom. I'm going to put all this on my kisser, and I'll be right back to wrap all this up. All right, guys, that is the end of this video and the end of this makeup tutorial. This looks way better in person than it's looking on camera right now. I feel like I look super made up. I mean, I am, to be fair, but yeah, I just wanted to hang out with you guys and do my makeup and talk about scary stories. You guys know I'm enjoying putting out some themed content right now. So much fun. But for those of you who are getting sick of the Halloween spooky stuff, I don't know what's wrong with you, but if you are, there is so much stuff coming. I have this awesome plan for how we're going to finish the year up on my channel, and I'm dying to share it with you guys, but just a little bit longer. As always, thank you to the patrons. The patrons will be getting the full unedited version of this video, which means the parts where I kind of talk about what makeup I'm actually using. I've said it 100 times. Eventually I'll stop qualifying this. But when I do videos where I just want to sit down and do my makeup and talk to you guys, it's really hard to edit all of the things together to make it like a good video to watch, because I have to talk and then I'm like, oh, anyway, I'm doing this to my eyeshadow, I lose my train of thought, blah, blah, blah. So I thought I would try something new and just edit out the makeup talking points and put those in a different video for the patrons, but everything is listed down below. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Check the down bar for links to all my social media platforms, and I will catch you in the next one.